What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to show you guys how I made these rubber shoe soles. They're a bit thick because normally you'd put a piece of foam on there, but this is a quick and dirty year-and-a-half project of mine that I'm trying to make, and I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to start by showing you how I poured them, and then a little bit of how I made the molds, but most of it was just me kind of assembling some 3D prints off of an FDM machine. If you look really closely, you can see the lines on there. But I won't talk too much longer, and I'm going to show you guys how I built these.
And here's, starting off, just a little part that, well, this is like a system, a very Adam Savage speed system. I needed to cut a bunch of these guys. As you can see here, they are through holes for how I'm going to attach the soles to the shoe. We're also looking at the 3D molds that I manufactured already. They took a lot of cleanup. I didn't get much of it on camera because, frankly, it was really boring. But I did that. And, you know, I like little things like putting a clamp there to speed things up. Now I'm adding something called Sonite Wax. This is a wax that's supposed to work on a like more porous materials like rocks and stuff. And because 3D prints have cavities from the prints layers, I want to do that. And then the spray stuff is something called ease release, which you saw. It goes on top of the Sonite Wax, which helps it release from the molds. And then you're supposed to brush that on, so I'm brushing that on as well as the Sonite Wax, which is also brushed on. And then I'm spraying some more on top, which is just, you know, what the directions say. And stuff usually works pretty good. Now we're moving on to getting the mold material mixed up. So I'm starting off with part B, which is, you're going to see in a second, is what the dye needs to be attached to, or not attached to, added to. And I think the reason for that is because of its viscosity. This is a much lower viscosity than part A. One thing I kind of forgot to do was shake up the initial one I used. And so I really took care to scrape the main one I use. Let me back up a little bit. I'm using two different trial kits. They're each, I think, a half quart, whatever that is. So it's a full quart together if I were to use all of them. But I didn't need quite a full quart, I thought. I ended up being a little bit low on my molds, but it ended up working out because I think I made my molds just a little bit too tall. So it kind of worked out. But I used one full trial set and then half of another trial set. And the way I did that, the half part, it's very important that these volumes are mixed completely perfectly. So the way I accomplished that was by using these little solo cups, not to play beer pong, but instead to fill up to a specific line. And I think at some point you either saw me use or you will see me count the lines. And I was I counted a bunch because I'm paranoid. But it's really important that these volumes are perfectly 1-to-1 if you're using a 1-to-1 ratio. There's other ones that are done by volume and they're like 20-to-1 or something like that. Here you can see me going back. I actually found a little bit in the bottom of this container, and if I didn't get that, potentially the elastomers in this case, there's this is the dye going in. The elastomers have to bind on to another elastomer. It's a chemical process. It's called these are called thermal set plastics. And thermal set is different than thermal plastics, which is injection molded plastics. Those just have to be heated up. And if you took them and heated up, that's what most things use. This is me adding more of the dye, by the way. I ended up using a lot more dye than the lady at the store told me to do. Here I'm speeding it up, and you'll see how much I'm mixing this. I'm really mixing the fuck out of this stuff. Because it's pretty important to the functionality of this. It's one thing they really recommend is just mix the crap out of what you're mixing. Anyway, the elastomers have to bind to another elastomer chemically to set, and then it's a chemical exothermic reaction. It releases heat while it does this. That's unique because these guys will not melt if you heat them up. They'll actually burn. So now we're adding part B, or part A into part B, excuse me. And another thing you'll see me doing a lot of is really scraping the sides of the containers, both when I'm mixing and when I'm pouring the stuff in. And with this part A, it's a lot more viscous, so it takes a lot longer to really get that all out. And I spent a lot more time than you'll actually see in the video scraping this stuff in order to get it to come out properly, because like I said, you really want to get it all. And I'm sure there's, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. I'm sure there's some error accounted in by Smooth-On, which is the company this is, by the way, if I haven't said that. I'm sure there's some error built into the system, like where it doesn't have to be perfect, but they really claim on the website that needs to be perfect. And I don't know what that error is, but I don't want to find out because the stuff's pretty expensive. It is pretty awesome, though, that you can work with these materials, because these materials really are like industry grade materials. It's much stronger than like a 3D print where you wouldn't get super high quality parts. They break down over time. These parts are like as strong as, like, I mean, you can make a pair of Solomon shoes for yourself with this kind of material. It's really pretty awesome. I want to apologize because as I was about to pour this urethane into the molds, I was really focused and I didn't realize that my camera stopped recording. So unfortunately, the most satisfying part of this entire build, me pouring the rubber into the mold, which is just like the most satisfying part, right? I mean, you do all the mixing, everything comes together, and then you pour it in, and you watch it slowly come up, and it's very viscous, and it like rubble. It's cool. I didn't get it on video. None of it was caught on video, so I apologize. I know you probably wanted to watch that. It was just me pouring liquid into a mold, but I understand. I would want to see it if I was watching this video, so I'm sorry. Let's continue with the video. So now that I have it poured up, I realized kind of after the fact that I needed to make sure these things were perfectly level, and so I spent a lot of time trying to get those level. What I should have done at the beginning was make sure my table was perfectly level, and then I wouldn't have been scrambling. Fortunately, this VytaFlex 50, which is a 50 denier, which is the hardness. This one in particular has a 60-minute pot life, so I had quite a bit of time to work on it, but I was scrambling here on the glass, and then I realized I was having trouble with the glass, so then I took off the glass actually later, and then leveled my table, and it took quite a while. It was a lot of work. I definitely should have done that before. Not the last mistake I'm going to make during this. You'll see in a second. Here we are, all nice and gooey and wet and sort of level. I kept working on it after these shots, but you get it. And here we are the next day. Lovely morning. Light coming through the window there. These have set overnight and cured right to my table. So here I am trying to get them off. Unfortunately, they leaked a little bit through the molds. And when I first saw this, I was kind of freaking out because I thought, oh no, the inside of the 3D print is mostly hollow. It's like 15% solid. This is really cool three-dimensional honeycomb pattern that goes through them, which makes them very strong, but they're mostly solid. And I was afraid that entire inside cavity had filled up when I was looking at this here. But that didn't happen. It was just a really small amount of fluid that seemed to leak in there. So it really wasn't too big of an issue. And in fact, I didn't even notice it. I thought it was also going to really cause the mold to stick to the cavity. Turns out what caused it to stick to the cavity was something else that I was just really dumb on this first one. I don't know. It was early in the morning. I'm doing sober October, which means I'm also not drinking coffee. So I don't know. My brain was just not working this morning, and you'll see, or as you see right here, I really spent a lot of time working on this and having a lot of trouble getting it out for a very stupid reason. Can you guess what that reason is? I don't know if I'm going to tell you yet, because comment down below the stupid reason that I had. I'm sure you'll see it. But I'll go ahead and tell you. I didn't pull out the aluminum pins in this first one. For the first like 30 minutes I tried to release it from the mold, and this is where things ended up. I had to break the mold to get it out. But you know, I'm not making another Mark 1, and hopefully we'll never have to make another pair of shoes for it. At least shoe soles for it. Hammers work too. Ended up getting this one free with a little bit of trouble. You'll see the next one goes much more smoothly. And you know, this is the first time I've really seen this shoe bottom, and it was pretty cool. You know, it's cool to see something you worked on for so long come out. And there I'd actually already removed the pins, which is why it came out so much easier there. Yeah, very cool. Very cool to see, especially the first time. And here's what I should have done with the first one. I believe that was the left foot, and this is the right foot, so I should have removed all the pins. I don't know if I didn't think they would remove this easy or what I was thinking, but, or maybe I just thought even with them there that it would remove easier. I think that's what I was actually thinking. I just thought with the mold release, it would have come out so much easier than it actually did. Even with all the pins gone, you see it took a little bit of force to go ahead and pull it off and a little bit of fiddling with it, and I actually ended up tearing up a few parts.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed watching me build these feet. They're pretty cool. Still a little bit soft right now. I went for a durometer that was a little bit softer because I'm not putting any foam on this. And I wanted something squishy for my feet that would also be strong enough to hold this. But I also know from some Adam Savage videos and also from doing this before that these guys tend to come off a little softer, and they kind of harden over time. They don't come out of the mold, you know, at full strength. A little bit of damage, obviously broke that first one. I kept this one mostly intact with just some minor damage on this. It's gonna go on my wall of Iron Man build stuff over there. Because that'll look good on the wall. And then if I ever need to use it, it'll be on the wall. But we got both of them right here. You wanna see something? That are the mounting system for this. Line up with these holes on here. You see those? And they go through, and this is how this shoe is gonna look. Let me see if I can line these holes up. Be interesting, hold on. It's hard to see because, oh yep. Yeah. Right about there is how this is gonna fit together. So that's the toe right there. Rocking right there, and then this guy, the entire suit is disassembled right now, so these aren't assembled, but this will go right here, and you'll see we have a pretty badass foot. And is this the right piece? It might be the wrong piece. There we go, I had the wrong piece there. Yeah, that's lining up perfectly, right? Yeah, that's lining up pretty good. So that gives you an idea how that goes together, and then those holes are going to be stitched together. Initially, I'm going to do like a kind of a mock-up of this with a lighter duty fabric because I can't afford the Kevlar, the aluminized Kevlar that I want to get. So I'm going to use a lighter duty fabric, and I'm just going to stitch it on with some paracord because I can't find my Kevlar string. But then I'm going to eventually glue it together and put it on with Kevlar string and make it a permanent structure at some point, but that'll be done in the future. I'm just really happy with this. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Very soon, I'll be getting this thing on to the actual shoe, and look at that, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's gonna work good. I think using a lower durometer is gonna allow me that range of motion that I need. Soon, we'll be getting this thing fully together and done, and it's gonna be really cool to take some first steps in it. So hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and come back and watch some cool stuff that I'm gonna be building. I love you guys. Bye.